And even a little bit more interesting news that I think was kind of funny, just kind of scrolling past it or whatever the case may be. And again, this is really, I think, shows you that, and I said this a long time ago, that a lot of Xbox fans are severely unhappy. They really want PlayStation fans to suffer the way that they have, even though they won't admit that there's any suffering going on. As an Xbox fan, I have to admit, first of all, yeah, there is suffering going on. It sucks seeing that the platform that you bought on, like, promised of exclusives and games and all these things that you waited for years and years for, wait till next E3, wait till next year, wait till the next hardware, wait till this, we're finally going to get the games, and then when they do start coming out, they come out for the same time for the people that weren't waiting because they were already playing great exclusives on PlayStation. So again, we're kind of in this weird situation where this kind of stuff happens and you kind of feel bad, and it's a kind of a sad situation to find yourself in. But for me, like, just seeing how, like, Xbox fans continue to hope above hope that oh, well, this must mean that this game's coming up to Xbox, or this must mean that this is coming to Xbox, and that to me is just always kind of hilarious. You know what I mean? Just honestly, it really is. It doesn't sound like it's a good thing. Like, why would Sony help out Microsoft in any way? Like, if anything, it's the opposite. They're really trying to just put balls to the walls and just crush Xbox and get them out of there for good and just have them be a publisher. You can kind of tell that that's where it's going to be where it's going to be happening. So we'll see what's happening. But anyway, so as far as I can tell, like, this is funny because this came up. So Microsoft does these surveys, right? They do, like, brand surveys. They send them to your email, whatever. A lot of times you got to sign an NDA to fill them out. Someone kind of leaked one that Microsoft wanted to know what Xbox fans thought of Ghost of Yotei, right? And I've done a lot of these surveys in the past. Some of them have asked, what did you think? I mean, these go back years. Ask, what did you think of Uncharted 4? What did you think of God of War? It doesn't mean anything. I mean, those were like almost a decade ago, and those games never came to Xbox. So, like, people thinking, oh, this must mean there's coming to Xbox. No, it means that Microsoft is so inept that they need people's opinions on if that's a good game, or this is a good game, or maybe that's something that they could work out. Just something along those series. It's kind of crazy to me that anybody would think that Sony would put their big exclusive games on Xbox. It's not going to happen. So Xbox Insider Program members have been in for a bit of a surprise over the last day or so, with some being given a survey asking them about none other than PS5 exclusive Ghost of Yotei. Numerous posts across social media shows users being hit with a survey, which opens by saying, we're looking to understand how you feel about recently released game that you may have played. If you played Ghost of Yotei since it came out, please take a minute to fill out the short survey about your experience. As for the questions, users actually reported being asked how long they played Ghost of Yotei since launch, how fun they found it, how difficult, and how quickly did the level of difficulty change as the game progressed. Obviously, users have some questions of their own. Does it mean the game will be available on Xbox? I know it might not mean anything. One user said, I hope it is what we're thinking. PlayStation IP having plans to release on Xbox with Xbox Gamerscore, says another one. See, this again is proving my point. Like, Xbox fans, again, they put on this happy face, like, this next Xbox that's basically a PC is going to be able to play all these PlayStation games. The thing is, you're playing them on Steam, which means you don't get any achievements or anything like that for your Xbox, right? It's just like playing it on a PC regularly, which you could have done years ago. So that to me is always hilarious. But unfortunately for any Xbox fans hopeful for a Ghost of Yotei port, this survey certainly doesn't confirm anything. I've taken similar Xbox surveys that asked about other PlayStation IPs that will never release on Xbox, Gears of War, Astrobot, etc. There's also the possibility that this is more likely that Xbox is doing market research and trying to gauge interest in games like Ghost of Yotei rather than Sucker Punch's latest title specifically. I mean, if we're being real about it, they're probably just asking if it's overwhelming praise, they'll make a similar game, one person speculates. All in all, it's a bit of a mystery. A Ghost of Yotei port is probably the least likely outcome. So yeah, that's funny. Again, this is like a sequel to Ghost of Tsushima, which was an amazing game, and that would be the one, if there was ever going to be a game that was coming to Xbox, would be probably one. Like I've said this numerous times, Sony wouldn't lose out by porting something like God of War 2018 or Ghost of Tsushima or The Last of Us, now that they've kind of tapped out the market, on the on their own console, and even on PC they've kind of tapped those things out. So it's kind of crazy to look at this and go, okay, well, what's this mean? And you have a lot of Xbox fans kind of just like rubbing their hands together thinking it means something, when the reality is, like I said, like it says in this article, which I'll link, like I've said from personal experience, it doesn't mean anything. The reality of it is Microsoft just has no idea how to make a game. And when you think back to it, like, let's think back to when The Legend of Zelda came out. I think it was 2017, and then also Horizon Forbidden West came out. And what was interesting about that time was, at that particular point, Phil Spencer was on record saying that single player games were dead, and they weren't making money and all this kind of stuff. And then the biggest selling games were like Horizon Zero Dawn and, of course, the Zelda game. And so that was always hilarious to me, because then after the success of those games, that's when Microsoft commissioned Fable to come back, right? Think about that way back in 2017. Now, since that point, we've gotten 2 Horizon Zero Dawn games and a remake or a remaster of the first one, and we've gotten 2 Zelda games, which they always go all out with those, but we've still gotten 2. We've gotten all that before we've gotten the Fable game. So clearly, and then we also saw the internal documents where Microsoft was talking about The Last of Us Part 2, about how great it was, how they strive to do something like that or whatever. So yeah, I know like there's going to be a bunch of Xbox fans that are, hopeful or whatever the case may be, but yeah, just honestly, it just does not look like you're definitely not going to be getting, something from this. Like, Sony's not going to put their games on there. Like, Sony is doing everything they can to end Xbox, right? Like, that's the thing. Like, they literally want Xbox out of business, not as a publisher, mind you, because Sony's making lots of money from Xbox as a publisher, but in terms of the competition and things like that, yeah, it's pretty clear that they are definitely seeing things kind of go about in a way that really want to hurt Xbox. They want Xbox to kind of suffer, and it's like, Sony's stealing their lunch all over again. We keep seeing this happen over and over again. Like, Microsoft tried to do something, then Sony does something, then Microsoft does something, and Sony does something. Microsoft was like, hey, let's get in on the PC market, and Sony's going to just go in there and swoop in and steal, all of their lunch or whatever the case may be. So yeah, man, this is the way I kind of look at it. I think it's a nothing burger in terms of, oh, hey, is this going to come to Xbox? No, they aren't going to do it. Like, just because Microsoft is doing something, it doesn't behoove Sony, who are a hardware company, to kill all the reasons to own their hardware. It just doesn't do that, right? And yes, I understand that it's funny because Sony is doing, cloud gaming, they're doing some games on PC and stuff like that, but they're also advertising their console as like pretty much the only way to play their game. So it's like, yeah, they have these other things if you want them, but their console is like the most important thing to them. And so even though you can play all their games now on like the portal or whatever, or stream it across the PC, they're going to try and sell you the console, which is a stark contrast to what Microsoft is doing. And then you would have Microsoft fans believe that, oh, well, it's because it's not working or whatever. Maybe it's not working because you, instead of advertising your console and maybe having some secondary things like, oh, well, our console is front and center, this is the main thing, blah, blah, blah. But you could also, if you wanted to, do these other things. Or, maybe don't even do that. Like, if people wanted to play your games bad enough and you had games that were good enough to play, then, I think it would be like night and day difference to kind of what we're seeing. And, that's kind of how I look at these things, just from a fan perspective as well. It's just like Microsoft hasn't done a good job of getting, they've had, like, I think Indiana Jones was a really, really good game, but it's too much of a niche game to really kind of win anything or get that, it didn't hit that 90 plus mark. And I know people go, well, those scores don't matter. They matter to some people, right? If let's say Microsoft came out with a game, let's say Starfield was a game that scored a 98 Metacritic, right? Do you think that would have led to people picking up Xbox? I 100% think it would have, right? Just, it would have done that because people would have been like, man, I gotta play this game. But the fact is, it was at 82 or 83 or whatever, and so people largely ignored it outside of the people that already could play it. Nobody's going to go out of the PlayStation ecosystem to get an Xbox or whatever to play a game that's like at 82. It's not going to happen. they've got to get that big major hit, you know, but they're not going to do that because everything they come out with is going to be generic and multi-platform. So anyway, I'll link this. Let me know what you guys think. How do you guys feel about this? Did you get your hopes up for this, or do you see it just as I see it, as Microsoft trying to see how to make a good game that people actually want? Rack 'em up. Crap Gamer out.